Hey y'all, how y'all doing? My name's Michelle. I'm your host. Really excited to be here today with my special guests. This show and this channel is all about healing, helping me heal, helping my family and my friends and the community heal. We're going through a lot. It's August 2020, and we're in the midst of the pandemic with COVID-19. We're still seeing our Black brothers being murdered by the police, and we're still fighting for justice for Breonna. So this is really all about giving us an opportunity to sit back, relax. Can't really do happy hour like we used to. So this is our happy hour. And although we're going to talk about some real challenging issues that we face in our lives, we want to do it at ease, right? We don't want to stress ourselves out, but we can't stick our heads in the mud. We can't stick our heads in the sand and ignore it, but we don't need to stress ourselves out while we're addressing it. So this channel is all about kicking back, relaxing, and this happy hour is all about having a drink. If you don't drink, that's fine. You can have 0 proof to 100 proof. It doesn't matter, but we have a featured drink that I'm going to let our guests talk to you about, and a featured actually dessert today I'm going to let our guests talk about. So this is, again, about healing and getting us to a place whether we're struggling or whether we just want to enhance our lifestyle and or help other people enhance their lifestyle. That's what this is about. So we'll talk about different things around healing in different categories, but today is really just emotional and career, right? Today's show is all about how we manage our emotions through these trying times in a workplace. So the topic really is how to manage in your workplace through a pandemic and this social injustice that's happening to Black people in our country. Our guest today is Ms. Tashina Cutno. She is a very experienced organizational leadership developer. I think I said that right. She'll correct me. She's been in the field for over 20 years. She's a mentor, a coach, an educator, an inspiration. She has a master's of adult learning, certificates in coaching. All of those things are letters to solidify what she was born with, what God has given her instinctively. She's grounded and rooted in her faith, and I believe that she is an inspiration to me. So welcome, Miss Tashina Cutno. Please join us.
Thank you. I love that introduction. I feel so humbled right now.
It's all true. It's all real and relevant. Oh my goodness, you look beautiful, Tashina.
Thank you.
I tried to get myself pretty for you, but it's real out here. I'm working on a big project, and I'm just happy that we got the time to do this because we've been talking for a while. I feel like before COVID about our passions and what we want to do with our careers and our professions. And we've talked about doing a lot of different things, from having a women's conference, doing a conference for organizations, to podcasting. So we're like, come on, let's just do it. Let's just do it. So thank you.
Jump in the pool.
Yep. Thank you for being here. And thank you for being willing to talk about what you have been experiencing and some things that you found that help you navigate through this pandemic and this racial inequality and injustice in the midst of it all, how you're managing. So you want to talk to us a little bit about like what some of your challenges have been and what have been some of the things that you feel like have helped you move forward?
Absolutely. So can we talk about this strawberry shortcake first?
Oh gosh, thank you. Thank you for reminding me. Thank you for reminding me. Yes, please talk about the strawberry shortcake, please.
So first and foremost, everybody that knows me know I only cook when I feel like it. I'm not in the kitchen. I'm not that person. But when I'm in the mood, I'm pretty good. So we tried this new recipe, and please forgive it in advance because my ice cream melted. But I don't know if you can see my strawberry shortcake concoction here,
Fancy.
and basically cooking the shortbread or biscuit from scratch. I've never done that before, and it's actually pretty good. So thank you for pushing me on that level to try something new and to bake something. And they smelled wonderful when I was cooking it. It reminds me of when I cooked baked apples. Sometimes I would just cook it just for the way it would make the house smell, and it was just smelling really good. So I'm proud of myself, and thank you for helping me to actually try something new.
I love it, Tashina. I love it. Okay, so let me just share that I was talking to Tashina about my concept for the show and how we have a featured drink and snack, and the idea is for it to be nutritionist. It might not be necessarily healthy, but it's going to be more nutritionist than something that we typically eat. And so Tashina wanted to do strawberry shortcake. She was like, oh, that'll be quick. That'll be easy. We'll just get some strawberries. We'll grab the little strawberry shortcakes. And I was like, well, wait a minute. What is in that? Right? So we started processing what's in that cake and all this other stuff. And we found a really healthy recipe that you can see Tashina cook. And it looks just like the picture, by the way.
Does it really? Yes. And it's vegan, right? Isn't it also vegan?
It is vegan. For her to be able to pull that off, I thought was pretty fantastic with everything else you have on your plate, because I know you have a lot. And it actually, it's the thing about it is it's not laborious, right? It doesn't take a long time. It's just a matter of having the necessary ingredients and taking the time to put it together.
Absolutely. And even improvising when you don't have all the ingredients. I was nervous about that. I had to improvise, but it's still very good.
Good. I'm excited about that. And our drink.
Oh yeah, I'm excited about this one. So this is the strawberry martini.
Ooh, that's so pretty. Let me see.
I'm so proud of it. Look at that. So I actually purchased a special cup for today, and it says enjoy. I don't know if you can see it. Enjoy every moment. And this is a reminder to self. And I see your glass, and I know where you got it from because I have two of them. I know exactly where you got that glass. I started to use that glass.
But you got a special one, and I love that glass. I really appreciate it. First of all, it looks delicious, and I love the quote. So cheers. Thank you for
cheers. There you go.
Soothing happy hour. And again, if you don't drink, it's okay. You don't have to drink. But this too was a healthy choice in terms of nutrition, right? So mine is darker. You guys, from previous videos, if you've seen, I like dark liquor. So it's a little darker, but I put everything in my NutriBullet, and I filmed that too. So I'll be uploading that. And it's honey, strawberries, fresh mint. What am I leaving out? Honey, strawberries.
Did you do the lime juice?
I did the lime juice. And I think that was really it. Some seltzer.
Club soda.
Oh, yeah.
Well, club soda.
I didn't, like you said, substitute. I didn't have any seltzer water or club soda, but I had some kombucha. So I threw some of that in there. So cheers.
Cheers. Very good.
It's delicious.
And don't forget strawberry as well.
The strawberries, yes. I wanted to share my flowers. I got those for my 23rd wedding anniversary. So they're beautiful. I'm appreciative, and they're going to share the screen with me. So y'all stick with me with my greenery and my roses and stuff. So. All right, so thank you for backing me up. And I did not, like I said, I apologize. I did not make it. I will make it. I bought all the ingredients to make it. And smelling the food in the house cook is one of my favorite things too. Like
I actually like that.
Or banging, but I bought strawberry shortcake so I could make sure I had it. But it's fresh. It's not as
it looks really good
as Tashina's, because she followed the right recipe, which we'll share. But it is fresh, so I'm not doing too terrible. And the idea is like meet yourself where you are, one step at a time. If we can go from just drinking Henny and Coke, meaning me, to something a little bit nutritionist and eating junk food, to having at least some strawberries and some, actually this is coconut whipped cream, so I'm trying a little bit here. So that's what we have to
and it's
share
something about that. It is something about cooking. It's like, I feel like it's you're taking the time to prepare and to nourish your body. And really, honestly, that's actually how I am when I cook, but it doesn't happen all the time. I literally have to be in the mood for it. But when I'm in the mood, it is like done with so much love. I take my time, I enjoy what I'm doing. And like you said, working with fresh ingredients and fresh fruit, like that was pretty good for me to do today. So I'm glad that I had that challenge. It was good.
Thank you for bringing that back, because that was one of the things that I actually did say I wanted to talk to you about, because I'm in a position now where I have more time and I'm able to get in the kitchen more, right? So I raised my daughters, not that I'm done, but they're older now, 17 and 22. And I wish I had taken more time to make fresh food the way that I am now when they were growing up. So that's why I wanted to ask you, like, being such a busy working mother, how did it feel? Because it's been pretty therapeutic for me to be in the kitchen. Like, how did that feel?
Yeah, it felt good because I am on a journey to take care of myself. And one of the things that I have to start with is how I think about the different things that I would do to take care of myself. So I look at preparing a fresh meal that's healthy, part of loving myself and taking care of myself. So it meant something different. And you're right, I'm super busy. And by the time I'm done with work for the day, I'm throwing something in the oven, we're ordering something, and it's just putting garbage in our bodies, right? And I just think that today was really an opportunity, like, do this more often, but take baby steps. It'll be unrealistic to say, no, every day I'm gonna be cooking fresh. That's not gonna happen. But maybe I could pick another day this week where it's like, what? Get something simple, put it together, and don't look at it as a chore. Look at it as taking care of yourself and your family. And it's funny because my son, he's the 22-year-old, came out the room like, what you doing in here? Because he knows I'm not in the kitchen clanging and banging. So he came out and I'm like, brother, those are for me. So I'll make you some because I only made 2 of the cakes. So I think that is something that I want to keep doing. I have 2 cookbooks that have all healthy meals in it. And maybe I'll make a goal this week. One day this week, pick a recipe, get the ingredients, and take the time to take care of yourself and your family.
I love that, because we're going to talk about the pandemic and the social injustice that we've always dealt with, but people are really addressing it head on, and we're just seeing it more and more because of the cameras that we all have and the leadership of our country. But for me, building a spice cabinet or a pantry with all of the things that I need so that they're ready, available, is kind of been the project, right? So like I'll have a taste for something. Like, it really started with, one, we got to build our immune system, because we're in a situation where we can't afford to be sick.
That's
2,
right.
We're not able to go and get food the way we normally did. Like, I was big on eating out or buying food out. Now, it might be some decent food, but I wasn't cooking it. And when quarantine happened, that wasn't even an option. So I had to be able to cook these meals that I like to taste myself. And I realized, like, I was going everywhere. I was going to Philly, to the Ethiopian markets, trying to get spices and stuff. And so that's been a part of the journey, just building my pantry so that I can have the stuff that I like and that is healthy for us. And it really does, like you said, Tashina, it kind of shifts your mind about food, right? I'm not just stuffing food in. I'm mindful about what I'm putting in my body, and I'm eating on purpose. The stuff that I'm choosing.
Oh, I love that. Eating on purpose. We are supposed to eat to live, not live to eat.
Yes. Yes.
So eat to live is putting the healthy stuff in your body, taking care of your body. But if you're just waking up looking for the next meal and stuffing anything down your throat, you're living to eat, and that's not healthy.
Right. So thank you for bringing that back. But to get into our topic, right, I think a lot of people are going through this, especially essential workers who can't work from home even. They actually have to get up and go to the office, whatever that looks like, and work. So talk to us a little bit about what you've been experiencing, what it feels like, and what some lessons you've learned to be able to kind of better take care of yourself in the workplace.
Right. So I think right now what I'm been experiencing the most, I feel like there's this acceleration. There's a lot going on. There are so many things happening and we're trying to do so many things all at once. And it's overwhelming. It's overwhelming. I wake up in the morning, I go to bed mentally exhausted. And I'm one of those people, I'll get mentally exhausted before I get physically exhausted.
Huh.
And these are the things that I have to learn how to take care of myself because I am not good at that. I'm an overachiever. The more I accomplish, the more I want to accomplish. And what I'm learning throughout this time is burnout. I have a high threshold for getting things done. I could work longer than most and I could probably deliver a lot, but that has not been good for me at all. I feel the emotional drain, the physical drain, the mental exhaustion. And I have days going to work where I'm on E. My E light is on, the engine light is on because I'm giving, but there's no replenishing or putting back. So what I'm learning is what happens is I'm not as effective. I'm not able to be effective with people and I'm not able to be efficient with things because I'm burning the candle from both ends. So I'm trying to take an intentional approach to really taking care of myself so that I can do what I need to do. And there's a lot that goes with that. I have to deal with myself. Then I have to deal with the people around me that's making the requests and the demands and being able to truly navigate that in a way where it's just effective in the end. So it's really tough. But I think one of my lessons learned right now is find out how to take care of you. And then I have this formula now, right? So the formula is I already know me, right? So you have to first know yourself. You got to know your triggers. You got to know your threshold. You got to know when you're getting irritated. You got to know when you got to tap out. Know yourself first. You can't lead anything or anybody else until you first know how to lead yourself. Mm-hmm. So one of the things I know about me is I am at my best when I'm able to get up early and just pray and talk to God and just really have quiet time before the world wakes up. And I want to get back to that. So the formula now is you wake up, talk to God, deal with yourself, then deal with the world. Because a lot of times I'm one of those people, my to-do list taps me on the shoulder. All right, get up. You got to do this. You got to do that. Oh, don't forget that. Oh, you forgot to send that email yesterday. Right? I wake up that way. So now I'm jumping up and I'm trying to hit the day and trying to get ahead of the day. But actually the day is running me. So it actually happened this morning. I woke up this morning. All right, we have some things going on tomorrow. I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to run to the store. I got to get the ingredients for the shortcake. I got to get the ingredients for this drink. And I started to just jump up and get going. It was like, no. Talk to God, deal with yourself, and then deal with the world. So I got up and I took a 30-minute walk. I talked to God and it's like, all right, now I'm going to hit the ground running. So it's really about managing myself and the overachiever in me because other people will burn you out, but then there are times you're burning your own self out too. So wow. I think that's one of my biggest lessons learned.
That's awesome, Tashina. I'm glad to hear you say that because I know how you work. And it's ingrained, I think, in us a lot of times historically, in us, meaning Black people, Black women in particular, that we have to outwork everyone around us. And so there's already that's already a part of the playing field, that we have to outwork everyone around us. And I heard you say something earlier when you were describing like you're an overachiever and other people will push you hard and you're already pushing yourself hard. So there's definitely something to look into around overachievement, right? But and what that does to our does to us mentally, and what that does to us physically, because that level of stress definitely can impact us on a physical level. But and so I love that you are talking to God first and taking some time out instead of just letting your day run you. I like that. That's quotable. Say now you're running your day instead of letting your day run you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You said something about us Black women having to work harder is other people. And that's been my career. Everywhere I've been in any organization, anytime I was in the leadership role, I was either the only Black woman, the only Black person, or the youngest person. And I always felt I've had to establish myself. I had to establish myself because, like, yes, I'm in the room and I belong here. I'll never forget the very first time I was in a space like that and people would not acknowledge me. And I had to say, what, from now on, I'm not going to wait for you to acknowledge me. I'm going to show up and you're going to know that I'm here. And that's the bottom line. But that's unfortunate because I believe that's true. And I think that probably adds to my overachievement and always looking to establish myself and do more, work hard and go further. And it just puts a lot on us. And it's a very real thing.
And the crazy part about it is you're the best thing in the room, right? Like what you just described was a trauma event. That's a trauma event. For someone to make you feel like you're invisible, to not validate a person's existence is probably one of the most traumatic things you can do to them psychologically.
Wow.
And that overachievement is a response to trauma. So you hit the head. And it's weird because then we get into this cognitive dissonance. And I want to talk plain, right? But like,
you're about to go deep now.
No, but this is what we're talking about, right? We get into this, I have to be better than everybody else just so you can see me, but I am actually better. But am I? So then you start questioning, or if you are, you're always working so much harder. And so then that's weighing on you. And then somebody puts something else on your plate. They're asking you to continuously perform, right? And I think one of the reasons, because we could talk about a lot of things, you could talk about a lot of things, but one of the reasons we wanted to talk about this topic in particular is because the things that are being asked of you and how they're being asked of you and how you work, that doesn't go together either. So specifically, I'm talking about, like, I've worked with you in terms of putting together projects or running things, and you're very deliberate and organized, and you take the first step first, not the fifth step first.
Right.
So with all that's happening, people are pulling you into projects to try to address diversity within organizations and structures and systems. And your expertise is organizational development, leadership, mentoring, coaching.
Yep.
I don't hear diversity in that. Do you want to talk a little bit?
Right. Yes. But yes, you're right. So I think in this space right now, am I qualified because I'm African American, or am I a DEI expert? And one of the things that I say to that is, at this time, we probably are in a place where we have to advocate for ourselves. And I mean that in a lot of different ways. So you mentioned earlier about people asking of us and putting more on you. That's a place to advocate for yourself. That's a place to say, listen, I have this going on, I have that going on. Let's negotiate, negotiate your time and negotiate the timelines, the unrealistic ones, especially around the things that are being asked for you, because you can't do everything. And as far as being asked to do something that is not in your lane, you have to say that as well. I had to explicitly say to people, listen, I'm not a DEI expert, and I'm not even going to touch that. That goes way further and deeper and is outside of my scope of expertise.
Why not, Tashina? You're not the diversity expert. You're Black, ain't you?
I am not the diversity expert. As a Black woman, do I have experiences to speak to? Absolutely. But guess what, Michelle? I also can't speak for the whole Black race. I've had my experiences. I know the experiences of people in my community. I know experience that my family members have had, but it doesn't make me the expert. So let's get an expert to help us with these things. From the organizational development piece, you got to know what's your lane and what's not your lane, and don't touch the stuff that don't belong to you. You're going to mess stuff up. Don't touch it. And people make you touch it.
They want you to touch it. They want you to touch it because they don't want to touch it.
Right.
So you said a couple of things, though. And I want to ask you, for someone, when you have to one, how did you get to the point where you started advocating for yourself and negotiating, right? Because if you're the person
Right.
who wants to achieve and be clear that I'm more than deserving to be at this table, when somebody gives you something, you tend to feel like you have to do it. So how did you get yourself to the point that you could negotiate? That's the one question. And two, how does it make you feel? Right? Like you're
Right.
an intelligent person, you process it so you can speak to it right now. But how does that make you feel for someone to ask you to do something because
Yeah. So I think the first question, I think, again, this overachieving, I always have a goal. And when I make that goal, I create another one. And I think it started when I was very young, probably in my early 20s, making sure. So there were things that I know I can do to reach my goal. I can do X, Y, Z. But then I started to learn there were other people that I needed to do something for me to reach my goal. And it reminds me of this quote from Jay-Z in one of his songs. I don't know if everybody know Jay-Z, but he said, closed mouths
now
don't get
everybody
fed.
watching this gonna know Jay-Z. Go ahead. He said
So
what?
you got to ask for what you need. You got to ask for what you need,
No, but what did he
understanding
say?
that sometimes,
No, I'm sorry, I cut you off. What was his quote?
oh, he said, closed mouths don't get fed.
Mm-hmm.
Got to ask for what you need. And I also had to understand sometimes the answer was no, and sometimes the answer was yes. And I think the more I've learned that I can get a lot of yeses, and then I know to be okay with the no, it just encouraged me more to just ask.
That's
The
powerful.
worst somebody can do is say no. That's the worst
very
that can
powerful.
happen is they can say
Very
yeah.
powerful.
So you just yeah, and it goes back to advocating. Ask for what you need. You can't expect people to be mind readers. You can't expect people to hand things to you. You got to stand up and ask for what you want.
And you
And
got to
if
be
that's
okay
a
with
role,
the no. I think that is
you
a
got to
really
be okay with the no. Right. And so it's funny we said be okay with the no because mine would be, okay, you said no. What other way can I get this? Like that's just how my all right, that person said no. Who else do I need to talk to? Or does that mean the road is ending for me here because I know my next step? And if you said no to my next step, then that might mean my season is up. And that's just kind of how I follow my career. So
that
you
is
just got to know. You got to know. So how do I feel when people ask me for things that I know I'm not qualified to do? I
let
think
me
my first
more
reaction is,
specifically, let me just, I'm sorry to cut you off, but being more specific, right? Because you are anybody who's been a part of any type of leadership development that you've been a part of or any project that you've been a part of, they know you're about excellence and
yes.
you're very thorough. So the question is, how does it make you feel for someone to ask you to be a part of a diversity project and to help with the culture of their institution when that's not your expertise and they know that's not your expertise? Like, what?
I
Why are
think
they
it's
asking you? How does that make you feel?
right, right. So I think the first honest reaction is why? Because I'm Black. That's my first honest reaction. The second one is y'all don't know what to do. You just don't know what to do. So you're just asking the people that you think could help you with that. The third reaction would be, what is it that they think of me that makes them feel that I could be successful in that, knowing that that's not my background? I think that when we talk about culture, I can talk about culture change. I can talk about the mechanisms and the interventions that you put in place for culture change, but I can't talk to you about how to create a culture that's diverse and that we're making sure we're equitable, we're making sure we're inclusive. That's different. That's a whole nother lane. But I can tell you how to change a culture. So I think that for me, it just gives me more of an opportunity to really clarify for people what my role is. I'm all about role clarification. And this is just another opportunity to say, this is what I can do for you. Over here, you need to go ahead and stick with the expert. Because if we want to do it right, we can't just do it ourselves. You can't send a surgeon and provide his own surgery. You have to get somebody from the outside to come in and help you with an initiative such as this, because this is not a Band-Aid. Don't call me for the Band-Aid. Don't call me for check the box. Call me if you want positive change. I'll be a part of that for sure. So I think that it's also typical. I think it's common and it's typical. Even right now, looking at educational initiatives and things of that nature, I'm challenging people. Like, what is it that you want this education to do? Do you want people to become more aware? Do you want people to change behavior? Like, let's manage our expectations around that with this particular topic. And furthermore, let's make sure the experts are at the table. You have to make sure the right people are at the table. So I think that for me, I can just take this opportunity to kind of get past my initial reaction, get past any offense I may feel, step into my professional lane, and really just clarify for them what my role is and what my role is not.
So I love that answer. I love that answer because you have to constantly educate people and you have to teach people how to treat you. And so that's what I'm hearing you say. I'm continuously educating them and I'm going to teach them what my role is and what my responsibility is. But I think I'm looking at a different layer, right? So we are stressed out because we can't move the way we used to move in the world because of the pandemic. We're stressed out because we have crazy ass leadership and we don't know what's coming next in the country, in our government. We're stressed out because we keep seeing and hearing about Black men being shot by the police, Black women being shot by the police, Black people, white people, whomever is fighting for Black Lives Matters being shot. I think there was 3 white guys that got shot in Wisconsin, was it? By the 17-year-old whose mom armed him and helped him get to the protests. And the reality of that is this: the police officers knew those guys were there. When after he shot people, they told him to get out the way so they could get to the crowd. So all of this stuff is happening outside of ourselves. Then we have our own individual stressors, whatever that looks like. And then to be in a work environment that is high pressure, and I'm bringing this back because I think that this is an experience that I've heard other Black professionals speak to, and I think that this is something that a lot of people can relate to. So you're seeing all this stuff happening in the world. This stuff is impacting you in some form or fashion, and then you're still expected to continue to work like everything is not, like you're not being constantly triggered or traumatized. And specifically for people to be asking you to help with a diversity project because they want to get a diversity project going within their structure or their institution because of, I guess, the need to respond to what's happening in the world and therefore within their own institution, that to me becomes another form of trauma. I do things in order. You're pulling me into this all out of order. I am not a diversity expert and I don't know, but you're coming to me for it. And I have 50 other things on my plate that I'm working on. So what you're trying to reverse or eliminate or minimize, which is racism, ultimately, right? You are actually practicing on me. Right? And so not that anybody's being specifically like, they're not taking anything from you in terms of an opportunity. That you've been hired or contracted, so they want you there, but the way and the treatment is the question. Like, how do you manage that how does someone manage that on a daily basis? Because these are almost like things that can kind of go under the radar because we're so focused on our whatever it is that our responsibilities are, what our real responsibilities are. So we get these, like, I don't know, microaggressions that we don't even pick up on. So I was just wondering what your thoughts were about that in terms of being able to manage it all, the normal workload, and manage people asking you to do something that really has not to do with what you do,
Right.
and pulling you in a manner in which you don't usually like to get pulled in anyway.
Right. I still think it's a matter of speaking up. And I think we're at the time now where we do have to start having these uncomfortable conversations. And that's something that you coach me on, that this is my opportunity to have that conversation or to have those conversations. So I think right now there are two things that came to mind while you were speaking. I think that we have to call things out, because it could be that someone is doing something unintentionally and they don't know that what they're doing is having a certain impact. And I'm a big believer of, I don't know until you tell me, or they may not know until you tell them. And if they do know, when you tell them, they know, if that makes sense. So I
That
think
makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of
things
sense.
happen, right? We can't ignore it anymore, because if you're not addressing it, you're condoning it. And that's just the bottom line. And if it's happening, it's having an impact, then you're obligated to let people know. And I just think that it just keeps coming back to me as far as advocating for yourself and speaking up. When those microaggressions happen, say something, speak up, pull things out on the carpet. This is not a time to make people comfortable. You know, we all are comfortable right now, and we just got to go in. That's the only way through it, is to go through it. And everybody just has to be open to that. They have to be open to the blind spots being uncovered. I do feel there are people that are intentional with their microaggressions. They are intentional with their racism, but there may be other people they may not know. So tell them, let them know, and let them know what the impact, again, going back to education, right? We need to educate people on what's okay and what's not okay. I think one of my experiences with all of this is, in the beginning, I didn't want to talk to anybody at work about this. If you haven't been through what I've been through, don't bring it up. Don't bring it up. But that was my journey, because you're right. All the things that I've been through when it comes to this started to come back. And then I started to feeling something that was normal in my life, being pulled over and having a friend shot in the back of the head by a police officer in a park. Like, all these things, myself being harassed in my apartment, they're thinking the drug, where's the drugs at, looking through my furniture. Like, I've been through those real things. So everybody's loosely talking about it, and this is making me remember that, man, all those things that you like, hey, that's just how it is in New York, or that's just how it is, that wasn't okay. And now I have to relive that. And now you want me to talk about it. And I think for some people, they are in a place where talking about it is healing for them. But then you got to watch it, because there's other people talking about it, bringing it up is traumatizing. And people need to know that. The ones that want to share their stories, yes, let them share. But know that there's another group that may not be ready for that yet. And the person that you're talking to, they may have no idea what I've been through when it comes to this particular thing. So talking about it loosely for me is not okay. But if you want to be curious and you want to learn about it, that's a little bit different. But I just think that we have to speak up. We have to let people know what it is, and be uncomfortable. Just be uncomfortable.
I love that, because that really is actually, we talk about psychological first aid when it comes to trauma, and just recognizing that pretty much everybody has had some trauma, so approach them in that way. I mean,
Yes.
And the way you just explained your experience in a brief time put a light on it, right? And that's what I'm talking about. Like, these very well-intended people, okay? And we're not talking about some mean, ignorant, maybe a little bit ignorant, but not, what's the word? Blatantly, overtly racist.
Right.
It's those unintended people that we want to reach, because those unintended things are the things that really are the biggest problem, right? Like, somebody being a racist and being clear that they're a racist, that's actually not a problem. We know where they're coming from.
We know where you at, and I know where I need to be.
And that's what they are, and that's what it is. But the stuff that people do that they don't even realize is traumatizing, right? Like you said, I got memories. I got real life experiences. I don't even want to talk about this shit every day. Why? Because I got to focus on work. I got to focus on you guys do what you hired me to do. And now
thank you.
Something that I don't really want to even talk about, and it's not my expertise.
That's right.
So these unintended folks are re-traumatizing. And you're right, making people uncomfortable, calling it what it is, and saying what it is going to help heal.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
And everybody's going to be uncomfortable, whether you are a member of a race of color, or whether you've experienced some trauma in your life that's related to race or otherwise. You're going to be triggered in some way, or you might not necessarily be conscious of it, but you are. So I think you coming on here, being able to share what you've done in terms of talking to God first, taking care of yourself first before you share in the world is so important.
That's the formula.
With our cell phones, we can just be right in the world as soon as we wake up, right? Like,
yes.
So that is important. I think that's a good takeaway. Thank you for sharing that. Negotiating, being clear about what you can and what you're able to do and what you're willing to do, and negotiating
effectively.
Someone effectively. Just because someone, that's a real good point, effectively, because we can do a whole lot of shit half-ass, right?
Right.
What you're able to do and what you're willing to do effectively, and if not, then negotiating and pushing back and saying you're not going to be able to do it, and having the confidence to be able to do that.
Yes.
And what you talked about was just being okay with the no, because you got to ask, like, just practice. So being okay with the no might be a different topic we have to talk about, and how to get there. And then the other point that you made was advocating for yourself. Is that the same as the pushing back and the negotiating?
I think it goes hand in hand, advocating for yourself, and then also knowing yourself and knowing how to manage yourself as well.
Those are really good tips, Tashina. And if we could do those things, we will be in a good space, because it might not sound like a lot, or it might sound overwhelming. But if we practice it, we can do this, and we'll put ourselves in a good place. Staying connected to God is always going to keep us in a good place.
Oh, yes.
Pacing ourselves is always going to keep us in a good place. And being honest with ourselves and recognizing that I am feeling a way about something. Before we can even tell someone something, we got to be honest with ourselves. So I think practicing breathing is important, right? You might be in the moment where somebody's asking you to do something and you need to process that. So breathing, just stopping and taking some deep cleansing breaths and allowing yourself to get back to them might be important as well. So, and then the other tip that you talked about was turning it off, because when you are about excellence, you're gonna always be working. So being able to stop work and take the time that you need to take for yourself and your family is going to go a long way, because at the end of the day, that's the most important thing.
That's what's important. When I pass, I don't want people to say, oh, she was such a hard worker. I'd rather people say she loved her family and her family knew that she loved her family. That's what's important. Not that I was a hard worker.
That is important, but the reality is this: we do what we do. When you work with people to help them, mentor them, and coach them, and get them to a point for their success, that's a purposeful life, right?
It is.
And me with therapy and all that I'm working on here, it's about impact. So we do want to have an impact. I was so inspired by Chadwick Boseman.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and his life, that's a perfect example to me of living in your purpose. I don't know him. I don't know how much time he got to spend with his family. I'm sure his family knows that he loves them, but he was living in his purpose, and he was doing it on purpose. It was very intentional.
That's huge.
What he left us with is so impactful. So I want my family to know that I love them. And sometimes we out here doing what we got to do, right? But we're gonna work hard. It's gonna be some long nights, long early mornings. But if we practice cutting it off and giving ourselves some time and space away from it and being with our family, it's gonna be good for everybody. So
absolutely, 100%.
Oh, Tashina, we did it. We got
good. Yep. In my movie.
Yes. And I'm so excited that you made that strawberry shortcake, and I'm gonna make mine too.
I
So
am too. I am too.
I want to thank you for coming. You look beautiful again.
Thank you.
I have to have you back. I look forward to being
Please.
on your platform as well in the
Yes.
future. And I think we gave people a lot of tips, and you will see the ingredients, the recipes for our snacks today on the website or on the YouTube as well.
All
So
right.
until next time, take a look. Cheers.
Cheers.
If you like this video, please subscribe and please leave a comment. Thank you.
Thank
Take care
you.
of yourself and take care of each other. Until next time.
Bye.